Jawed Ashraf, related to Babri Masjid Action Committee's Sayyid Shahabuddin, who is no more, of course, is slated to be the next Deputy National Security Advisor, or so some media reports suggest. These reports created a furor with a section of social media users, especially on X, formerly Twitter. The Squirrel's Bhupen Chaubey spoke to Prime Minister Narendra Modi's famous Muslim supporter Zafar Sareshwala about this, who just dismissed this group of people as bigoted. He said they do not represent Hindus and they are a liability for the BJP.
There cannot be a bigger joke than this. I mean, you are mentioning about those right-wing, I know I've also seen on Twitter, they are biggest fools the country has and biggest enemies of Mr. Modi.
I do not claim to represent the entire community, but there are certain logical fallacies in what Zafar Sareshwala said, which is what I am here to point out. First of all, let's deal with bigotry. Zafar and even the BJP, even the Prime Minister must appreciate a fact that supporters of the BJP are not actually supporters of the BJP. They stand for a certain ideology. As and when the BJP aligns itself with that ideology, which is broadly defined as Hindutva, then these Hindutva supporters support the party. If they stray from that path, as they allegedly often did in the last 5 years, then they punish them. Now, where does this ideology come from? Who told these people that this is BJP's ideology? Well, none lesser than the stature of Keshav Baliram Hedgewar, the founder of the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. When he dissociated from the Congress, he used to be formerly a member of the Congress. He said that he found developments in that party, in India's oldest party, that were not conducive to Hindu interest, that were not good for Hindus, which is why he felt a necessity to walk out. And the next head of the RSS, Guru Golwalkar, toed the same line. Now, I do not wish to comment on where the RSS is at the moment. I just want to limit the point to the fact that the ideology comes from nowhere else but the RSS, or the general perception of what RSS stands for. And it is that ideology, as far as facts are concerned, that took the BJP from a mere 2 seats in Lok Sabha to 81 seats, thanks to the Ram Janmabhoomi movement in the late 1980s and early 1990s. Now, is the BJP going to disown that ideology? Is the BJP going to disown its parent organization, the RSS? And then, is it also going to disown its Margdarshak Mandal that comprises Mr. Lal Krishna Advani and Mr. Murli Manohar Joshi? Remember that when the then Prime Minister of the country, VP Singh, had appointed a Muslim as Home Minister, Mufti Muhammad Saeed, the central leadership of the BJP of the time had condemned it, calling it a very unfortunate decision. So are the leaders of BJP of today going to disown Mr. Advani and Mr. Joshi? Now let's come to the next point. He says they don't, Zafar says they don't represent Hindus because when he talked to somebody in the BJP, they said that if you look at the number of followers that these so-called trolls or right-wingers command, they count to less than 10 million, which is far, far less than the entire population of Hindus in the country, which is about 100 crores. Now, is Zafar going to make social media the yardstick to measure who represents which community? Let me remind him that in a debate last year between Supriya Shrinate of the Congress and Amit Malviya of the BJP, Shrinate claimed that the tweets of Rahul Gandhi get more retweets, they get more likes than the retweets and the likes of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Now, Can we say on the basis of that Rahul Gandhi is more popular than Narendra Modi? Of course not. So that is another fallacy. Number three, he said that you cannot make a decision of the government based on religious identity. Fair enough. But then, where is the problem with religious identity? There is no problem with Jains, there is no problem with Buddhists, no problem with Parsis, no problem with Sikhs. They are minorities too. Why is there a problem with Muslims? First of all, you may call it Islamophobia, but that is the general perception. Worldwide terrorism, where is it coming from? Second, I get back to the point of Mufti Muhammad Said. What happened when he was appointed Home Minister? Many people say he got his daughter abducted on purpose so that he gets an excuse to release some terrorists. That's a terrible record. And then, of course, the question comes is whether you can deny somebody a post because he is a Muslim. Of course not, you cannot. But then, where does the question of denial comes? Were the Muslims expecting this post to come their way? No. There was no build-up to a feeling or an anticipation that, okay, the next deputy NSA is going to be a Muslim. So there is no question of denial because there was no expectation in the first place. And then, of course, why this religious identity and not other religious identities are important is because of the core teaching of Islam. It's not because of Muslims. The core teaching of Islam exhorts a believer, exhorts a 100% Muslim guy to consider Islam in a crunch situation to be superior to all other identities and considerations. So in a crunch situation, if a Muslim has to choose between India and Islam, he must choose Islam. If he does not, then he fails to prove himself to be 100% Muslim. This is not me saying, this is not any Hindu or Muslim saying, it's Islam saying, it's the Quran saying. So we have to be very careful about that aspect as well. Now, the question of experience. Of course, Jawed Ashraf is very experienced. He has had an illustrious career, but then he could be rewarded by placing him in a higher position in diplomacy, in one of India's foreign missions. Why place him in the security apparatus of the country? And here, the appropriateness of a Muslim in a certain situation reminds me of a controversy of 2019 when a certain guy called Firoz wanted to teach Vedas spiritually in Banaras Hindu University. Now, there were people in the BJP, there were people even in the RSS who were surprised why so many Hindus were protesting. That is because they asked, of course, even Subramanian Swami asked, who generally is supposed to be a very kattar Hindu. He said, what is the problem if a Muslim is appreciating your scriptures? Isn't that something nice to be proud of? The point is, consider me for example. I have written reams and reams, I've filled reams and reams of pages with findings on Islam for the past 30 years. Will the Muslim community consider me a Maulana until I convert? No. Similarly, no matter how much a Muslim or a Christian or a Parsi learns Vedas academically, he cannot teach it spiritually because he does not practice it. He only knows the textual part of it. He has not internalized it. So there is an appropriateness of things. If Jawed Ashraf is qualified for a certain post, he must very much be given that post. He must be promoted, but not in the case of security. Just as in the case of Firoz, he could have gone in for academic teaching of Vedas, but he wanted spiritual teaching of Vedas, which is a different module in PhU. If he had chosen the academic one, Hindus would not have protested. So now, finally, there is one point that Zafar did not raise, but I am concluding with it. The point is the 2024 Lok Sabha elections. Despite Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi once waxing eloquent about how the Modi regimes 1 and 2 have been much better for the Muslim community, how Modi went out of his way to ensure that Muslims are placed everywhere, they are represented everywhere, how the data, how the statistics of appointments and recruitments show that Muslims have been far better represented under Mr. Modi than under his predecessors, under Manmohan Singh, under Narasimha Rao, Rajiv Gandhi, Indira Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru, you name it. And despite that, despite Jan Dhan Yojana, despite PM Awas Yojana, despite Ayushman Bharat insurance policy for medical treatment up to 5 lakh rupees per patient, what did Muslims give in return? I was studying Lok Sabha constituency of Delhi, Chandni Chowk to be precise. So on the previous 2 occasions, Dr. Harshvardhan stood from that seat, and when I was studying the pocket around Jama Masjid, which is dominated by Muslims, I found that out of lakhs and lakhs of Muslims who lived there, only 15 guys voted for him, despite his having a very moderate kind of an image. Consider why Arif Muhammad Khan, who is now the governor of Kerala, lost the election in Kaisarganj. His Muslim aide said that for once, before casting the ballot, there was no EVM back then, before casting the ballot, I thought whether Arif Sahab is a real Muslim and should I vote for him. And the fact of the matter is that in that Kaisarganj election, even the number of Muslim votes that the BJP got was less than the number of Muslim Karyakartas that BJP had in that constituency. Then consider the fact that what happened to Shazia Ilmi of the Aam Aadmi Party, why she won the first time, and the next time when she was not seen as being fully backed by Arvind Kejriwal, who is the Muslim choice in Delhi, then she lost. So this also answers the question why BJP does not nominate Muslims to fight in elections. It's winnability, of course. The moment a Muslim is nominated by the BJP, he kind of loses his Muslimhood, loses his Islam. So anyway, based on that, Muslims can very well question, are you supposed to work only for the people who vote for you? Of course not. But then, as I said earlier, that there are so many other places where you can place them. Jawed Ashraf could have been placed in diplomatic circles anywhere else at a higher post. There would have been no objections. And therefore, all these points that Zafar Sareshwala made in defense of this proposed appointment of Jawed Ashraf fall flat on the face, and finally also for the fact that many people are saying that the Ashraf family are Ahmadiyas. So just in case Mr. Modi wants to build a bridge with the Middle East, which we saw failed spectacularly in the case of Nupur Sharma. They bent over backward to please Qatar, but Qatar is still not a friend of India. And Ashraf's being Ahmadiyas and the Islamic world being dominated by Sunnis who do not consider Ahmadiyas to be fellow Muslims, even on that count, the government initiative might fail. We have even otherwise seen that whenever it comes to the question of voting on the question of Kashmir, the OIC, the Islamic Conference, gangs up together to vote with Pakistan against India on the issue of Kashmir. So any attempt to reach out to them, either domestically or internationally, does not seem to work.